How many of you have been stuck in traffic? Like really bad traffic? Where were you stuck in bad traffic?
Like right over there.
Okay. In the real world, somewhere far away from campus? Istanbul, okay.
Los Angeles.
Okay.
Jakarta.
Jakarta, okay. So clearly, everybody's been stuck in traffic. If you haven't been stuck in traffic, you will be soon. There's not much you can do about it, okay. So this is about how to get you out of that problem, okay. How do we not get stuck in traffic? So, these are the sort of things that we've seen. Roads and public transit systems where you can get stuck for hours sometimes. In Beijing, outside Beijing, there was a 9-day traffic jam. It didn't go anywhere. Just every vehicle was stopped for 9 days. And 100 kilometers, okay? And so if you look at the cost of congestion, this is the amount of money and fuel wasted by vehicles stuck in traffic. So it's not the cost of transportation, it's the extra cost while you're not moving or moving slowly. That's assessed at $175 billion by the year 2020, okay? We're already past the 100 billion mark in the US. And this extra stuff is emissions, accidents, and road rage, all sorts of other things. Right? This isn't included in that, of course. One way to deal with this is to increase supply. So this is obviously a demand-supply mismatch, so increase. It's very difficult. There's not enough space, and it's very difficult to go dig down and put a subway station, or it's difficult to, it's $20 million to buy a train, a 6-carriage train in Singapore, for example. And roads cost even more, so some an extra lane in an urban environment can run into billions of dollars, okay? And penalties are one way to manage demand, so if you can't manage supply, if you can't increase supply, let's see if you can manage demand. And lots of cities are considering or have implemented congestion charges. They run afoul of people don't want to be charged. Okay, so this is just, we don't want to pay, okay? The other way is to road ration, which means depending on license plate number, you don't get to drive on 1 or more days of the week, okay? And this is widely implemented in many cities in South America, in Greece, in Athens and Beijing, or carpool, reduce parking, etc. The other way to manage demand is to incentivize shifts in behavior. So instead of only charging the peak time commuters, how about paying some money to the off-peak commuters? And the problem here is, how much can you possibly pay? What is required before you can see people shifting behavior? Okay? I think certainly what you're going to see is all our works in this direction. They can coexist. In fact, all of these can coexist. They're not mutually exclusive. They're just different costs and different amounts of political will. Okay? And for example, I meant to say that political will, I mean even in New York City, Bloomberg tried but failed to put congestion charging measure to the vote in 2008. Okay, so it's not very easy. And let's look at it this slightly differently. Currently, transportation architectures look like this. There's us as commuters, there's the underlying network, it could be a transit system, it could be roads, and then there are those who operate those systems, and there's no relationship between commuters and the operators. What system has a relationship, direct relationship? Sorry? Cars are things that we climb into that use the roads that obey signal lights from the operators and stuff. So there's an indirect touch point, okay? But airline miles programs have a very direct relationship, okay? Are you okay with this? Keep that in mind. Before the 70s and 80s, there were no airline miles programs anywhere. Now there isn't a single airline that doesn't have a mileage program, okay? So think of it like that. you're going to see a public transit loyalty program that we've been implementing in Singapore. And such programs can have auxiliary goals. In addition to encouraging you to stay loyal to the public transit system, we could shift your behavior from peak to off-peak. How? By giving you extra points, extra miles, extra credits per mile taken in the off-peak time. So I'm anticipating what I want to say, but let's complete this picture. So we want to put a cloud and a mobile overlay. So these are all physical systems which are a lot of hardware in sort of not even the, literally cement and other things. On top of that, we want to put a software and a cloud overlay or a mobile overlay. So user behavior is sensed through RFID scanners, through smart travel cards, through cell phones, through whatever, and pushed into this incentive or behavior engine or nudge engine, which is the thing we're going to talk about. And this also can have real-time usage data, how many cars are on this road, how many people in that bus that's arriving at this bus stop right now, and so on, okay? And then incentive money or money equivalents could be provided either by the operators or somebody else, or even through charging, for example. And you could give real-time incentives, micro-targeted. You're waiting at a bus stop, there's a bus arriving at the bus stop, and it knows you're waiting, and it says, it knows this is the bus, that is the route you're interested in, and it says, I'm 95% full, so consider not getting into me and I'll give you 50 credits. If you take the next bus, which is 3 minutes behind me, who's got spare room compared to me, okay? That is a micro-targeted real-time nudge. It's a nudge made to one person, doesn't have to be made to the other person's at the bus stop, okay? Because you're probably more likely to take it and she's not. Okay, she needs more money or something, okay, than you. So that's what I mean by it's personalized. And we're also going to see that in addition to money, telling you how your friends are doing in terms of their behavior actually has a strong effect on your own behavior. Okay, and so you'll see why. And you can the system can provide real-time analytics to the operators on that, how the physical hardware system infrastructure stuff is running, as well as how the people are adapting. So you can get a supply side and a demand side view to understand whether you're actually making the supply and demand match well. Now, of course, you get lots of big data in this sort of world. So now, I'm going to, given the time constraints, we're going to just jump right into two projects. One that's local at Stanford. Is any of you living off campus this year? Okay, are you going to drive in? Good, you'll have incentives. You can sign up to this program and download an app and stand to win some money, okay? If you're driving in the off-peak time, that is also something we like. If you're parking off-center, there's another thing we like. So we're trying to move people in time, mode, and space, okay? Everything is about limitation, and we're just trying to spread everybody out. Okay, so Stanford has this, in an agreement in Santa Clara County, we agreed to not have any extra traffic hit the campus. So measurement taken in 2000 said that this is how many peak hour vehicles were entering Stanford, and this is per day, and we agreed not to exceed that, and a different number but a similar sort of count in the evening. And if we exceed these numbers, the university has to pay big fines or forego the obtaining of new building permits. And the link is that new buildings means new jobs, means new traffic, which our neighboring cities have complained about. Okay. So this is if you're living off campus, you can join the commute club, and they will give you $300, provided you don't get a parking permit. So if you're going to bike, you live off campus, you'll qualify. $300 just for attending this talk. Okay. So this is the only university that pays you not to get parking permits. Okay. And this is where they measure it. There are 16 gates, and there's a company that measures and audits Stanford. Now, while this reduces all the traffic, we're going after peak traffic. That is the traffic that hits us in the morning and evening peak times. And the way that works is there's an RFID system designed by students who worked on this project. It's a solar panel powered, battery backed RFID system and you can put a tag in your car. It's like a fat Band-Aid. It just goes in your car, and as you drive in, it senses your arrival time. For bikers and walkers, there's an app. It's called My Beats. You can just download it. Okay, and you will earn some credits. These RFID scans are sent into a cloud service in the Amazon, web hosting services, and you can look at your credit history just like an airline miles program. You can look at your miles earned, that sort of thing, and then you can go redeem your credits for dollars. So one crucial way in which we differ from airline miles programs is this. In an airline miles program, if you want to get a ticket, let's say to somewhere in Europe, depending on the time that you're traveling and availability of award travel seats, let's say it costs 50,000 miles. You take 50,000 miles from your account, pay up, and you get a ticket. Everybody okay with this? So now think of that as the deterministic cost of that ticket. But suppose instead the airline decided to sell you that ticket in a lottery-like way. What that means is you take 500 credits and say, I want that ticket, and the airline says, okay, give me the 500 credits and I will give you the ticket with 1 in 100 chance. Okay, I took 500 credits with 1% chance you win this ticket. If you don't win this ticket, you lose the credits. Everybody okay with this? So for every 100 people that try this, 500 credits are taken from each person. So 100 times 500 is 50,000. 50,000 miles are taken. On average, one person wins, 1 in 100 chance, 100 people. On average, one person wins this ticket. So the airline's books are balanced, but you don't have to have 50,000 miles in your account to win this. So not many people, 50,000 miles is a lot of miles to put on in a year. Okay? So that's the lottery version of the same thing. No airline's offering it. I'm just saying this is possible, but we're going to offer it. Okay? Because we don't have that amount, huge amounts of money. So if I told you, as a driver that's arriving at Stanford, there are 5 morning peak trips and 5 evening peak trips, I will give you 10 cents if you don't come in the peak hour in the morning. You won't do anything. You won't change. I mean, first of all, will you change? I should ask, will you change, right? I've just said, no, you won't. Okay? Who thinks they might take an off-peak trip for 10 cents if you weren't already taking it? Doesn't sound likely, right? And if you raise your hand, you'll be viewed as some sort of a cheap sellout. Okay? So that means, there are 10 trips you could take. Each trip is, if I'm offering 10 cents, you won't change. So in a week, I could give you up to $1, for the 10 trips. But now if I say, instead of giving you $1, I ask you, do you want to try to win $10 with 1 in 10 chance against this $1? Who wants to stand to win $10 for off-peak trips in the week, right? Who wants to win $100? Right. So you see that the lottery effect has as an inducement that it's creating. So small amounts of money could be made to go. That's why we're using lotteries, not because we're advocating this as a practice to airlines. They could consider it, okay? But you see what I'm saying? Okay. So I'm a little ahead of myself, and I'll show you a demo, or not a demo, I'll show you a working website. So the other way is, of course, to use mobile phones. Then mobile phones know where they are in various ways: cell tower, Wi-Fi. And what's the other way they know where they are? GPS. Okay. So using all these sort of different things, you could break a geofence. And this is an opt-in model. If you don't want to be, telling the university or telling us when you're arriving and leaving, you don't have to join the program. And you can continue to travel in the peak. You simply don't earn anything. Okay. And no one's forcing you. And even after you join, if you don't want to, if you want to keep some trips, if you want to travel incognito on some days, not a big deal. Turn off your app, or remove the RFID tag and put in your dashboard, in your glove compartment. Sorry. Okay. So, everybody okay with this? You're encouraged to reveal your good behavior and not to hide your bad behavior, which you would do if there's a penalty scheme. like carpool violation, not stopping at stoplights, stop signs. Okay, good. I'm going to show you how the scheme is working. So it was launched last April. So we don't know the before behavior of the commuters in our program at Stanford because we know what they were doing before they joined. However, we know what they were doing in total. This is the assessment that the university has to make and give to the county of Santa Clara every year. So between 2011 in the morning and 2012, in the hours of 8 and 9, there were more vehicles entering the campus. And there's clearly a peak, 8 to 9, and a peak in the 5 to 6 p.m. time. Okay, this is for everybody, not just those that are in the program. Everybody okay with this? So in 15-minute chunks, we know the counts. Okay, so let's look at what the participants in the program have been doing now that they've been incentivized. Okay, so for the people in the program, this is cars per minute. That was cars per 15 minutes. We can see that they're avoiding the peak. Okay, in fact, they're even trying to sneak in before the peak. Okay, or wait until after the peak. Okay, this has been observed and reported that on the Campus Drive West exit in the back near the golf driving range, people have pulled up at 5:55 p.m. You know, like more than 100 feet from the RFID scanner, so they won't be scanned, and waited until it's 6, and then driven out. Okay, and so they won't do that for 10 cents, I would think, right? Anyway, so this is sort of the thing, and you can also get sort of much more fine-grained splits. You can find out how the behavior is at each of the 16 gates. You can find out what the long-distance drivers are doing, like those that come from San Francisco or from Fremont, so you can get, you know, distance-based behavior shifts, region-based behavior shifts. And faculty and staff prefer to come early and leave early. Students prefer to come late and leave late. So you can get other sorts of demographic splits, right? So this is the data. Okay, so this is about Stanford, and I haven't shown you the website. There is such a thing. You can go and download the app, you can join the program. Okay, you can be incentivized. So I was told the questions are coming slightly towards the end, but I don't have too much more to say. Let me tell you about, I'm going to spend more time on the Singapore project because there's more happening there in terms of size of the system. So there, the sensor is the smart card that people use to travel with. Commuter starts at some station, say Jurong East, swipes in the turnstile, makes a trip, swipes out. That is the record. That's the commuting history. And those kilometers, which are known to us, are converted to credits, and off-peak kilometers earn 3 or more credits, okay, depending on status and stuff. Like airline miles programs, you have bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and stuff, okay? And this goes into this portal, which I'll show you shortly, again, which looks similar to the thing I showed you before. You could give cash equivalents. So Stanford, we've given football game tickets, Rose Bowl. I'm happy to tell you, as incoming students, that we won the Rose Bowl last year. And Rose Bowl tickets are gold dust. And just for giving away 10 tickets in 5 pairs, we increased the enrollment by 17%. Okay, in the December time period when people are not around, either, right? So there are other things you could be giving. Now, summary, one slide summary. What is the program? How it's working? As I told you, the incentive, we want to shift more and incentivize off-peak travel. There are about, so the first 6 months of this project was run as a university project last year, and the government then extended it for a further 18 months, and now they're considering a even further, 3-year extension. And there are in excess of 140,000 commuters, which is more than about 16% of all train commuters. Their bus is separate and not included in this program. And the shift is about 10%. I'll show you how. So you're going to see these curves which look like this. This is similar to the Stanford things. 5 a.m. and noon. The orange, the blue line is the before trip start times for these Singapore transit users, and the Orange line is the shifted, they're avoiding the peak sort of thing, and that's a 7.5% shift. And if you look, this is all commuters, if you look at those who travel more in the peak times, and even more in the peak times, and even more than that in the peak times, then so the more peaky travel there is, the more there is to shift. So you get better shift numbers, okay? And this is who you want to do well on. So those are all the slides I wanted to show, and I was told to go to Q&A, but I think I'll just take a second and just show you this. This is the site I told you about. As a Singapore commuter or a Stanford commuter, you have an account like this. It's offered again as a cloud service, right? It's in the cloud, and then you know your status. You can invite your friends. We've paid out about $1.8 million so far in Singapore. Now what you see here is the winnings. So 38 seconds ago, somebody in Singapore won $2, okay, redeeming the credits. Somebody else 5 minutes ago won blah blah blah, and 12 minutes ago somebody won $5. So you can see people are winning. System, you may not be a lucky winner, but somebody else is winning, so system is not being stingy. You can also see your friends' performance. As I said, you can see their status, platinum, gold, bronze, etc. You can see how much they've won. So, and this ought to inspire you, because you can't take it that your friend is platinum and you're merely silver or something, right? So that's really all I wanted to show. And the way the lottery is administered is actually as a game of chance. You use your credits to roll dice in a game of chance. It's like a shoots and ladders game, and then depending on what tile you land, you get the prizes. Okay, there are lots of reasons why games are interesting. The most important thing is that the odds of winning are made very intuitively obvious to you. Okay, that's it. Let me stop. Sorry, and take some questions.
So you showed the performance statistics for the Singapore system. Would you, I don't know if there's any kind of information about this, but is the SAC, like the net percent effect, directly proportional to the amount of money you put into the system? Or how does that?
Right. So let's ask the question as dollars per shift or something like this. Yeah, there is that equation can be cleanly worked out, and we know the answer. I mean, the answer depends on your status as well. So if you're a peak time commuter, you stand to get, and you're shifted, you stand to get more. And if you have already been commuting in the off-peak time, of course you're the first person to sign up, right? This is adverse selection. And you will also win a fair amount of money. And so the scheme is focused on paying the platinums, golds, in that order. And you can, that number can be worked out. But I thought you might also ask, and I will complete, there's a second part potentially to your question, which is, how does it translate into supply saved, cost saved? It's nice if we could spend $1 here to save $10 than having to buy a new train or a bus, for example. We don't know that in Singapore, but we do know that in Bangalore, which was the first scheme we started with the employees of Infosys Technologies. Like Google here, Bangalore, Infosys offers a company chartered bus service to bring them employees in. They had about 242 buses, and the load balancing of these vehicles between peak and off-peak, you just sort of level it out a bit, allowed us to get rid of 8 buses from the fleet. And the cost of the rental charge on 2 of those buses alone is enough to pay for the scheme. The other 6 was pure savings.
Who's the ones to sponsor the award and prize the government?
Yeah, government and transit operator, for example, right? But you could also have sponsors like this week's draw is sponsored by Goldman Sachs. Yeah, pick somebody who should be sponsoring this, right? Or some, So it could be, it could be Intel, could be McDonald's, could be whoever, right? I mean, somebody who wants to support green efforts while getting. Essentially, if you hit the public transit system of a city, you have tons of people who are aware of it.
So in your graphs, you showed a percentage decrease of commuters during peak time. And so I'm wondering how that relates to the percentage of commuters that have adopted the program.
They're not directly related. The percentage of shift is from those that have joined. The percentage of commuters adopting the program, I have a separate chart. I mean, let's talk about what's the adoption rate of the scheme. As time passes, you know there are more and more people. It has roughly doubled every 3 months. Okay, so we initially started with about 3,200, 3,500 people in the first 2 days of the launch, and now it's grown. And you know, there's possibly some more appetite for growth. Could all 900 or 1 million people, 900,000 or 1 million people sign up? Probably not. Could it be 400,000? Could it be I don't know. There's some number like this where it's probably going to taper off. Yes.
Do you have an estimate of how much money you are saving by making the system a game instead of like flat tax on all people?
Right. So the question is, do we know how much is the difference between deterministic payoffs and lottery payoffs? There is one way in which we know it. We know by adoption of. So you're free to go and give a fixed redeem your money in a fixed exchange way. You don't have to play the game. There are about 87% of the commuters have chosen to play the game, and the rest are taking a fixed exchange rate. Okay, and the question is then translates to how much are they shifting the deterministic. You give 1,000 points and you get $1 in Singapore. So we can ask this question as how much are they shifting versus how much are those that are choosing to play the game actually shifting, because that's a way of getting at how much more effective are the lotteries, right? And there's about 3 to 4% difference on the 7.5% base. Thank you.